Hello, transitions. We are diving into lesson 3, talking about quotient rule. So another word for quotient is divide. Okay, but we're going to use the math terms today. So quotient is what we're going to be using. Okay, so we know that we just focused on multiplication rule, and that meant that you add the exponents. So if we're dividing in these problems, that means we're going to do the opposite, and that's going to be subtract the exponents. But remember, they need to have the same base. If they're not the same base, you can't do anything with it. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with number 1 or number 13. Okay, so with that, first I want you guys to notice that the denominator does not have an exponent. So I'm going to put that little 1 there just so we know what number we're working with. Okay, so again, in this problem it has the same base. I got a 3, I got a 3. So I know my answer is going to be 3 to the something. Okay, and then I'm going to subtract my exponents starting with the one on the numerator, so the one on top. So I'm going to go 2 minus 1 to get my final answer, which is 3 to the first power, which is just 3. Okay, so again, you're subtracting the exponents. The number on top is what goes first. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at number 14. Okay, so if we're looking at number 14 again, we see that we have the same base, which is 4. And I'm going to subtract. So I've got 2 minus 3. So I've got 4 to the 2 minus 3, which gives me 4 to the negative 1. So if you plug in 4 to the negative 1, you'll see that it will switch you to 1/4. Okay, which we'll talk more about that when we get to negative exponents. So don't worry about that too much right now. All right, let's take a look at number 15. Number 15 is just with variables. Okay, so again, our bases are the same. I got an x and an x, so I know my answer is going to start with an x. And then I'm going to take those two numbers and subtract. So 5 minus 3, and that gives me x to the second power as my final answer. Okay, all right, let's go ahead and look at 16. Okay, 16, it has a couple different parts to it. Okay, we see we've got an x and a y on the top and the bottom. Okay, but again, first, let's go through and make sure everything has an exponent. So we can see on the top that the y does not, so I'm going to add a 1. On the bottom, the x and y don't, so I'm going to add 1s to those as well. Okay, so then I'm going to take my first variable that I see, so my x, and see what has the same base, and that's this one on the bottom. Okay, so I'll start with my x, and I'm going 3 minus 1, which gives me 2. So I've got my x squared. And now I can go ahead and take a look at my y's. Okay, if you look at the y's, it's 1 and 1. So 1 minus 1 gives me 0. So these just cancel out completely. So if it gives you 0, now there is no y in our answer. It is gone forever. Okay, so our final answer is just x squared. All right, let's keep going on to number 17. Okay, so with 17, we notice that the numerator does not have an exponent. So again, I'm going to put that 1 there. Okay, and I'm going to see, do they have the same base? Yep, they do. I got a y and I got a y. So now I know that my answer is going to start with a y. And I can go ahead and subtract my exponents starting with the one on top. So 1 minus 4 gives me a negative 3. And we're going to leave our answer like that right now. And again, I'll talk more about what we'll do with negative exponents later on in this unit. All right, one more problem, and that is number 18. Okay, we got a couple different parts to it. But remember, the first part you're looking at is, do they all have exponents? Okay, so the one on the bottom, the y, does not. So I'm going to add that 1 there. Okay, now I'm going to look and see what has the same base. Okay, so my same base, I've got an x squared and I've got an x to the third. Okay, so 2 minus 3 gets me x to the negative 1. And then we'll do that same thing for the y's. Okay, so I've got y squared on top, y to the first on the bottom. So 2 minus 1 gives me y to the first power. You could put 1 or you could just put y. Either works. Okay, so if you want to do x to the negative 1y, that also works. Okay, alrighty. On to the worksheet. Good luck. If you have any questions, just email me and let me know. Bye.